Namaste. I'm here with Twin Flames Undercover. So this, I guess, would be the third installment. I guess I just want to go back to. I just want to talk about what's going on now and what I'm thinking now and what's going through my mind and just like timelines. How people can use kind of money and attachments to money interfere with your timelines. So let's say someone you're supposed to meet at a certain time and conceive a child. Let's say it was magically interfered with and that kind of thing. So like I was predicted to have a child at 33 who would be like a military leader, and now I'm 37 and I'm pregnant, and I looked up the child's life path and it's number 1, which is a natural leader. So it kind of resonated with me that was the child I predicted, but it happened like 4 years later, and not with the person I had anticipated it to happen with, so there is a kind of instinct in me that's thinking, okay, this is like, interference. And what it makes me think of is twin and things like years ago he would go out and get drunk, and I, like, especially on Paddy's Day, and I would feel his drunkenness. I would have energy coming right up through out of my body as if I was drunk, but I wasn't. So I would be sitting here at home and it would be Paddy's Day and I know that he would be drunk somewhere. And at the moment, the position I've put myself in with the house, I've kind of put myself politically in his shadow, kind of, so that he wouldn't be able to do that anymore, that he wouldn't be able to use other people to tap into my energy, or that his karmic wouldn't be able to use other people to tap into my energy, So in that sense, it brought me into a kind of an absoluteness, but it actually it also brought me into a desperate, deep depression, So I got sick of that happening, and so so it, as I say, it brought me into deep depression, and then I kind of had this idea that the only thing that would bring me out of it was to have a child, so anyway, I was with someone, but they weren't the kind of people, it wasn't someone I would conventionally be attracted to, and I think I deliberately chose that person because I find the people I'm conventionally attracted to are abusive. So I was with this person, and we have certain things in common, and we're both air signs, so I think intellectually we connected, but but as regards the rest of it, like physical, in terms of like physical body attraction, like I just didn't feel anything at all. It actually felt like a foreign object, So anyway, it turns out that I'm pregnant with his child and so there's a lot of kind of tensions over who owns me and who's, all this, who's my protector, all this masculine stuff. And so I kind of parted with him for a lot of those reasons, is because, like, I just didn't like the circumstances under which the kind of conception occurred, and from my side and from his, and it just felt like, like a kind of call for help on both sides, it just felt desperate. And then so it was a very, like, becoming pregnant was a shock, and I found out around the 2nd month in, and I spent that whole month just in tears and in shock at the, like, distortions that are going on, and it's like I'm having to participate in the distortions just to survive, And so so that was, even in itself, was really sad for me, just to acknowledge, like, how kind of screwed up it all is, and things like that. So anyhow, I'm kind of trying to go along with it, and kind of hoping that things will stabilize, in some way. And I've since kind of really accepted the child, and I've kind of agreed to go through with the pregnancy, and everything is going fine as regards the health of the baby and stuff. But the shock of the month, it was like a trauma for about a month of just being terrified and horrified and betrayed, and just disgusted, and so but it's like there's this incredible child, like, growing inside me too, so there's a kind of ecstasy with that as well. But what I found was, where the child is located is right where I would have had spinal injury from the surgery that I had, from the injury I had with my twin flame. So it's almost like the child is literally like bumping up against the nerve that I woke up from surgery with, like the central nerve. So it's bringing up all that trauma as well, and as well as that, like, the defense mechanism that I had built up to kind of protect myself since the trauma is breaking down again because of the child. So that's really kind of difficult. And and so it's ultimately good for me, because it's making me strong in a way that I wasn't before, um and it's good for the baby too, because I feel like I need to be strong for the baby, because I just feel there's all these people fighting for possession of the child and possession of me and all this stuff. And so so it's kind of strange, I mean, I've never been more vulnerable in my life, other than being in surgery. But it's still, like, if anything, the connection that I have with the baby, I feel it has kind of reconnected me with twin energetically, because I don't know, like, I got the feeling that the baby was actually spiritually belonging to twin, but because we never met, he couldn't be the one to conceive it. And this is my understanding of it, like when I trained with him, I had the experience of an entity over both our heads, like a child coming in between us. It was like the energy got so great between us that a child was beginning to enter in, and I always assumed that I would have children with him. Even after he got married, I just thought, no, he'll break from her and we'll have kids, it'll happen. And there was a moment when I met him on the street at Halloween night once, where there was a huge light over our heads, and I had the feeling then that I should have been with him then, but I didn't, because I was still really angry about what had happened, and I was really angry that he was with someone else, and I was really angry that he was seeing me as this kind of secret thing, this thing that's not in his life, and so I kind of bypassed the opportunity. As well as that, I didn't know how he'd react, but I think spiritually we were so connected that it could have happened then, and I think, and then months later I regretted not having connected with him on that night, and that would have been about 3 or 4 years ago, which would have been the time predicted for me to have the child. And so, and he has had a child since as well, so it's almost like whatever spirit was over us or between us is now split between two boys, or two children. So on goes the roller coaster, because Finn was so literal about everything, and everyone would, I felt that his soul would split and everything would go to his karmic. Like, I felt like I had the Midas touch, but everything got stolen and went to her. And I could feel my family's interference in that as well. And because they never value what I valued, and what is really precious to me, they just destroy. And so I'm really wary of that paradigm, and so I'm a little bit kind of nerve-wracked, about how things will pan out, And, even with the father of the child, when he touches me, I flinch. I don't even want to engage with him, because I just don't have the same connection with him that I do with Twin. And so it's really difficult because the father will never understand how high a galactic connection I have with my twin flame. And the social constructs in between all of us are kind of keeping us apart. Like, I have a strong feeling that he has got like sex addiction and stuff, and he's probably having affairs left, right, and centre, and I know from my own experience that like I connect with my twin flame in my dreams, and if I'm with someone and I don't orgasm, I will orgasm in my dreams because I'll connect with twin in my dreams. And I've got a feeling that he's experiencing something similar because I know he did the same thing with booze. Like, he would be addicted to booze, and then I would connect with him when he was drunk, So I think that's kind of stopped now because, like I say, things are kind of more in place. I have people in the way of him, like, so that he has to be careful what moves he makes with me, And I don't know if if that was a good idea or a bad idea, but I felt that he had taken too many advantages, and that I was the only way I could protect myself was by kind of putting certain people in the way of him. So it's all very complicated wheel of fortune, but also kind of like more morbid than that, like. There's a lot going on in the city too. There's a lot of homeless that are living in the outskirts of the city, and there's a lot of people that I would have been very good friends with that are living in squats now. And because I own a house, like, everyone has kind of abandoned me, like, and because they feel that I don't need them anymore or whatever begrudgery is going on. And so I'm a little lost without my usual tribe, and I'm studying to be a legal secretary at the moment, and I feel like my world is changing a bit, and that maybe it's changing away from them. And I don't know how I feel, whether I feel good about that or not, So as it stands, we're not talking still, and there's a whole lot of politics kind of in between us now, and I'm really cautious, and I would say he probably is as well. But there still is that desperate longing there for me anyway, and like, I dreamed of him recently, that I was training with him and that we had a lot of darkness to train through, and that he was teaching me to teach others and stuff. And then I Yeah, so I just was feeling like like there's like a desperate need to connect, you know. And maybe I'm trying to control it too much, and that's probably what's gotten me in trouble in the past, you know. Because sometimes when we get close, that I will be triggered by the event, and then I will go back into that trauma pain of having the injury and having to survive him. So it's almost like every time we get close to union or even just meeting in 3D, it's I go back into that like horrific experience of being out of body and stuff. And so um I've got a feeling as well that the baby will lead me to union, because I think that the baby is spiritually connected to twin. So I have a strong intuition about that too, that having the baby will lead to union. Uh, excuse me. Because the baby is going to be such a high vibration. I won't have time to kind of go back into my traumas, you know. And so um um so I think that that's probably will lead to union. I hope so anyway, but either way I'm really excited about being a mother. And I'm sure there's going to be conflicts and foibles over who owns what and stuff, but I just want, and I'm not dependent on anyone really. um I'm sure I will get through it myself anyway. But like, yeah, it's just difficult. It's difficult to kind of like break through the barriers, you know, and the baby's actually forcing me to, you know. So you know, what else can I say? It's a bit like an upheaval kind of going on, and I don't know, like, uh, I don't know whether I should save myself or run with the tribes, you know. So I'm a little bit. I've got some distortions to work through about it, and um, yeah, difficult. So. But oh yeah, so the one thing I had about the dream was that he was training with me, and I had said to, I was really depressed the next day after the dream, and I said that, you know, to a friend of mine, I couldn't be with him because I'll always be jealous, you know, or I couldn't train with him because I'll always be jealous of his personal life, and that I'm not part of his personal life. And I would go so far. I would be able to tolerate it to a certain extent, but I know it would upset me again, you know. But I do feel that we are kind of destined to train with each other, and I do, and I'm strongly convinced that my injury was an interference, like, that my injury was an interference, and it's repeating over and over again. I even think the baby is kind of like a solution to it, you know, because I think the injury happened when he went with her, and then the injury happened, so it separated us from the child that was over our heads, you know. So it's really bizarre and cosmic, but and I always look back and I wonder what I could have done, you know, just to make that not happen. And I've got a feeling like my parents are kind of getting elderly now, and I'm having a baby, and I just feel that like, you know, I just feel that the next 40 years of my life are going to reveal a whole lot, you know, and how my children will grow up, and, you know, how good a job I'll do on them, and how, I was always going to do my best to make this kind of stuff clear to them, because even with the best of guidance, you could still get it wrong. So I'm sure that there will be a reconciliation in the future with my twin flame. I don't know what form that will take, or but it's very difficult being so close to him, and not being able to see him or not having him in my life. Like, I'd love to move away, and I'm kind of asking the universe, should I move away, and live in another country, because it would be much easier, because I wouldn't have to listen to everybody talk about his karmic, or everything that he's celebrating in his life, or it's just too painful for me. Like, I'd much prefer to live in a different country where no one knows him and no one knows the story, and Japan is even coming to mind, which is strange, but just to live somewhere where no one knows us, so, or even for me to go away, if he insists on being in the situation that he's in, for me to go away and not have to witness it, so I don't know what else to say. There's an eclipse on Monday. I hope you're all going to take advantage of it and eclipse out what doesn't serve you, and what am I going to say? What else was I going to say? Let me see. So there's an eclipse on Monday, and I hope that this year, I felt the last couple of years, I just was numb, and I didn't really do anything. I didn't even make art. I didn't really participate in things. And I kind of missed out on a lot of time, and I'm kind of a bit sad about that, but I feel like this baby has kind of woken up a fire underneath me, and it's lovely, because I felt like that, and my flames are just so dampened, that I just had kind of lost faith, and it's a real shame when that happens to someone who is as fiery as me, because I have so much fire. I have a Leo rising. I have a Sun Libra, Leo rising, and Taurus moon. So I'm naturally a really dynamic person, So when I'm depressed, it's kind of tragic, because a lot of people rely on my energies, because two signs that are in fire is really important, So and that's why I love water signs, because they really respond to my fire, So and my twin is a water sign, and so it's really lovely when a fire sign is a water sign, I think, because it's you really bubble it up out of them, and they just calm you down completely. And I know no one on the planet that has the same calming effect on me than my twin. And so I know it's at the tallest order. It's the tallest order. And but I'm just trying to have faith, even though at this point I think it's like brain surgery, because it's I need even more dexterity to get it right than I had been using before, so I have to be carefuler. I have to be more careful with my words, which is really hard for someone with a fire element in their chart. You just blurt out things, so I really have to learn to do that. I really have to put into practice all the different spiritual disciplines that I had learned, and not need someone's permission to do that. And so I guess it's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, I guess this is kind of like episode 23, episode 3, but like it's kind of a baby blog too. And I'm just trying to figure it out, you know. And I'm kind of foraging through some kind of sinewy things at the moment, and I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or doing it right, or, you know, and part of me kind of wants to bail like I always do when the going gets tough, and then there's this other part of me who can't do that now, you know. So yeah. So what else can I say? I think I've been pretty good in that I haven't looked up his page in a long time, and I haven't looked up his page in a long time, and I haven't done anything strange, like, you know, and I've stayed away from all our mutual friends. But it's really hard to not talk about it to people every day, you know. It's like I have to be hush hush, and I can only talk to Twin Flame people about it because they're the only people that understand. So I feel like a criminal in most conventional social groups, social settings, particularly in college. I feel like you know, I'm harboring a fugitive, and and I have this kind of incredible connection with this man that I never see, and actually that brings me back to what happened before my injury. Was there was a couple of incidences where we could have connected socially, but there was one incident where we were at a function and we could have connected that night, but he had been drinking, and I was so turned off by the fact that he was drinking, and I was so turned off by connecting with him when he was drunk, and because he was kind of drunk in the corner and so on, I could have easily interacted with him, but I was just like, I had this incredible relationship with him in the dojo, and I was like, and it was like the standards are so high, you know. I mean, it was such like a divine connection, and the standards were so high. So when I kind of like had the kind of opportunity to connect with him while he was drinking, I just didn't want to be that woman, you know. I was also afraid that he would maybe deny me then the next day, or something stupid like that, you know. And at the time he probably would have, you know. So, you know, I think back of all these moments and I think what could have been in that moment, you know. And then so those, you know, so that's hard, like it's difficult. But I just didn't want to be the woman who is his drinking partner, you know. And it seems that that's who his wife is his drinking partner. And I had such a profound relationship with him that I just didn't, you know, I just didn't want to be his drinking partner, you know. I just felt that we had just such a profound connection that it shouldn't be initiated, like that, like my 3D relationship with him shouldn't be initiated over a boozing kind of thing, you know. So that was kind of difficult to accept, those moments when something could have happened and didn't, you know. And sometimes when I'm right on the moment, when I should make the move, I don't, because of fear, you know. You know, when the iron's hot, like I will like withdraw because I'll be so afraid. So I just really want to work on those insecurities so that when the moment does arise again, it won't be so nerve-wracking, you know, because even meeting him now is nerve-wracking, you know. Just meeting him, just seeing him is just like, oh, it's so hard, it's so tough, it's tough. So like, When being in the room with someone is really difficult for you, having a conversation with them might be even more difficult, you know. So, anyhow, that's my episode 3, and I feel like I'm done talking for now. I hope you're all doing well with your relationships and with your twin flame journeys, and I really think you should get out in nature as much as you possibly can. And just trust that things are going to work out for you. So, okay. Thank you. Namaste.